Welcome back to Haunted America, the show where we dig into the legends, hauntings, and unexplained mysteries that stretch across this vast haunted country. I'm your host, and tonight we're headed deep into the woods, the kind of woods that swallow sound, the kind of woods where for centuries people have reported seeing something large, powerful, and very much alive. Tonight, we explore one of America's oldest and most persistent legends, Bigfoot. A creature reported from coast to coast, from Native American oral histories to modern police files, a creature that leaves footprints the size of dinner plates, that scream you hear in the night, and that may or may not be watching from the edge of the tree line as you listen to this. And come on, grab your flashlight, keep your eyes on the darkness. This is Haunted America. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Haunted America. I'm joined by my good friend JD, and I'm excited for this episode.
This is a I'm sorry.
No.
That was my cue.
I love me some Bigfoot. Go ahead, buddy. What were you going to say?
I'm sorry, I just totally screwed everything up. This is actually going to be kind of educational for me. This is a little bit outside of what I know. I'm kind of curious more about the lore of it. Of course, I've seen the famous picture or the video actually of Bigfoot walking around. I know about that, and I've heard about hunters and people locally saying that they heard something large and they didn't see it, but they could hear something that didn't sound like anything that they'd ever heard before. So right. I think there could be some validity to Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, I've always been fascinated with Bigfoot, and actually at the end of this episode, after we're done actually reading what I have written out for the script here, I'm going to share a possible story encounter of my own here. So a little tidbit at the end for anybody that sticks around long enough here. Without further ado, what do you say, JD? You ready to learn a little bit about Bigfoot?
Let's do it. Let's find out what everybody's clamoring about with this Bigfoot thing.
Oh yeah. So before Bigfoot was Bigfoot, the creature appeared in Native American traditions for centuries. The Salish on the northwest coast told stories of massive, hairy forest guardians called the Sasquatches, a word that anthropologist J.W. Burns later angelized into Sasquatch. The Yakima people of Washington spoke of the Kwa-Lin-Me, a large human-like figure that lived in the mountains. The Choctaw spoke of Shawanaki. The Hoopa in Northern California still tell stories of the Oma, a huge, powerful creature with incredible strength. These stories weren't myths in the way we think of myths today. They were treated as literal animals, real wildlife living out in the dense forests. Centuries before Bigfoot made headlines, these tribes all described the same thing: a tall, upright creature covered in hair, smelling unbelievably bad, and capable of vanishing into trees without a trace. Before we continue with this episode, I have to take a minute to talk about our sponsor. And this is something that's more dear to me than most people realize. And that's self-confidence and just kind of being right with your emotional side of things. And that's where today's sponsor is going to come in to play here. New Norm. Let's be real, taking care of yourself isn't extra, it's essential. That's where New Norm Men's Self-Care comes in. No gimmicks, no overcomplicated routines, just premium products designed for men who want to look good, feel sharp, and stay confident every single day. From skincare to grooming essentials, New Norm helps you stay on top of your game without slowing you down. Because self-care isn't about vanity, it's about standards. Upgrade your routine, own your confidence. New Norm's self-care. This is the new normal. New Norm self-care isn't a trend, it's personal. The brand was founded by a proud dad, inspired by the way his son and daughter supported each other and challenged outdated ideas around self-care and confidence. Lead by example, introduce simple habits, connect self-care to confidence, encourage conversations, and build a legacy of confidence. People every day around the world struggle with these things, feeling confident about yourself, and it leads to depression and thinking certain ways and maybe thinking that it's better off to just end it. And I'd really like to put a stop to that, so that's why I partnered up with these people. New Norm, I thank you guys very much. Before we end this little ad here, help is available. 988 is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline number. If you or anybody you know need emotional support, please reach out to this number. Once again, it is 988. I don't want somebody out there being the next spirit we're talking about. So if you guys want to get some help with feeling better about yourself and maybe, help build up that confidence there, check out the sponsor of today's show, New Norm. Let's get back into the episode. Really quick, guys. Self-confidence and depression isn't just, something that affects men. It affects everybody. It affects everybody in different ways. So if you were somebody out there, like I said in the ad there, is feeling a certain way and you feel like you need help, never feel like you shouldn't be able to reach out to somebody. That's why I put the crisis lifeline number in there at the end. You can even email us. If you're feeling a certain way and you feel like you need to, email us, hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com. I always have my phone with me. So as soon as I get a notification I have an email, I usually check it right away. And I'd be more than happy to kind of get back to you and try to help you get through whatever it is you may be getting through. Now let's get back into the episode. Bigfoot as a modern phenomenon began in the late 1950s on a logging site near Bluff Creek in Northern California. JD, this is the picture that I'm pretty sure you are referring to at the beginning of this episode. In 1958, a bulldozer operator named Jerry Crew discovered enormous footprints, 16 inches long, pressed into the soft earth around the work site. He wasn't the only one. Workers had heard strange noises at night, heavy footsteps, crashing in the underbrush, rocks being thrown. Jerry took a cast of one of the footprints, and soon a local newspaper ran the headline, "Giant Footprints Puzzle Residents." It was the first time the word Bigfoot appeared in mainstream media, and almost overnight, the legend had exploded. People came forward with stories, hunters, hikers, local residents, even law enforcement officers. The idea of a large unknown primate living in the Pacific Northwest had officially entered American folklore. If you know anything about Bigfoot, you've seen the footage. A shaky but iconic film shot in October 1967 by two cowboys, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, also at Bluff Creek. It shows a tall, broad-shouldered creature covered in dark hair striding away from the camera, turning its head in a very human yet not human manner. That's the video that you saw, right, JD? This is the kind of video you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, that's the one.
All right. For decades, scientists, special effect experts, costume designers, and skeptics have analyzed that 59-second film frame by frame. And here's the fascinating part. No one has ever proved it fake. Hollywood creature effect artists, including professionals who worked on Planet of the Apes, have repeatedly stated that the muscle movement visible under the creature's skin would have been nearly impossible to fake with 1960s technology. The creature's proportions, its arm length, stride, and gait also don't match in a human suit. Skeptics argue it's a hoax. Believers say it's the most important piece of cryptozoological evidence ever captured, but the truth still hasn't come out. Bigfoot isn't just sightings. There are tangible pieces of evidence collected over decades. Hundreds of prints have been found across the Pacific Northwest, California, Colorado, Oklahoma, and even the Appalachian Mountains. Some prints show dermal ridges, skin texture like fingerprints of primates. Some show mid-tarsal breaks, consistent with non-human primate foot structure. Hair samples have been attributed to Bigfoot. They usually come back as unknown primate, or in many cases, no match in the database. When it does match, it's often bear or deer. But there remains a consistent handful of laboratories that cannot identify. Recordings known as the Sierra Sounds, captured in the 1970s on a high Sierra mountain, feature long guttural vocalizations, whoops, whistles, and chatter-like sounds. Several university-level audio specialists concluded the recordings came from an animal with a lung capacity far larger than humans, and not matching any known species. One of the least talked about aspects of the Bigfoot legend is the number of police reports on file. In 1976, 2 Washington state sheriff deputies responded to a disturbance claim that they saw a massive bipedal creature run across a rural road in front of their patrol car. Think about it. Can you imagine being a cop driving down the road and just seeing some massive ape-like creature run out in front of you when you're just cruising? Can you imagine that, JD? I'd be freaked the hell out. I get freaked out when a deer runs in front of my car, dude. I can't imagine something bigger than a freaking deer. Like those people up in Maine and Canada and all you guys listening that have to deal with moose or elk, meese. What's the plural word for moose? Is it mooses? Now I'm gonna move on before I embarrass myself here. In Ohio, multiple counties along what's known as the Ohio Grassman Territory have logged calls from residents reporting a tall, hairy figure on back roads near wooded property lines. In Oklahoma, a 911 call from 1995 records a man whispering that a creature bigger than my truck was standing outside his home. These reports are rarely publicized, but they exist in police archives from across the country. So what exactly are people seeing? There are 4 main theories here. Many researchers propose Bigfoot is a surviving relative of, and I'm probably going to botch this name here, Gigantopithecus? Is that right? That's like what we evolved from, I'm pretty sure here. A real giant ape that lived in Asia and stood up to 10 feet tall. If it migrated across the Bering Land bridges thousands of years ago, descendants could theoretically inhabit North America's forests today. Option number 2 is that it's a type of early human. Some here we go. Now I'm really messing up names. Anthropologists believe Bigfoot could be a surviving branch of Homo. There's a lot of big names here, guys, but I had to include them. I'm gonna get called out. Some of y'all already probably left because I botched the verse name. Bear with me. Okay. Some believe Bigfoot could be a surviving branch of Homo heidelbergensis or other hominoid species, something close to it, but not quite human. Option number 3 is that it is a cultural and psychological phenomenon. Some skeptics argue Bigfoot sightings are a mix of misidentifications, folklore, and human tendencies to find patterns in the unknown. And finally, option number 4 is that it could be something paranormal. A smaller group of researchers believe that Bigfoot is not a physical creature at all, some suggesting interdimensional Oh my gosh. Here we go. Now I'm really messing it up, fellas, and I'm not cutting it out. I'm going to make a... JD wants me to make a botch reel one day of just all my mess ups. Oh my gosh. Interdimensional theories like ghost-like behavior or supernatural origins connected to Native American legends. No single theory explains all documented sightings, though. Today's sightings continue across the country. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO, maintains a public database with thousands of first-hand reports from backpackers, hunters, RV travelers, and entire families. Many describe the same details: glowing eyes, loud tree knocks, strange howls, rocks being thrown towards campsites, Bigfoot's trying to murder us all out here, enormous silhouettes watching from the darkness. What's striking, though, is the consistency. Reports from states thousands of miles apart often describe the same creature, the same behavior, and the same eerie feeling of being watched. So why does Bigfoot remain one of America's most enduring mysteries? Maybe it's the possibility that our world is still wild enough to hide something this big. Maybe it's the idea that we're not quite done discovering what lives beside us. Or maybe it's because thousands of people genuinely believe they've seen something. Something huge, something intelligent, something that doesn't want to be found. And until someone produces undeniable proof, the legend of Bigfoot will continue to stalk our forests. Thank you for joining me on this journey into one of the greatest mysteries of the American wilderness. If you've ever had a Bigfoot encounter or know someone who has, I'd love to hear it. Send your story into the show so we can feature it in a future episode of Haunted America. You can email us at hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, keep your flashlight close, keep your mind open, and this has been Haunted America. JD. Buddy, what do you think about Bigfoot? Do you know anybody that's experienced something with Bigfoot? Like, I mean, you live kind of out there. I'm not gonna give away, I guess, exactly where you live, but I mean, you live out there in the middle of freaking nowhere. You had to have heard something strange in the woods late at night and thought, geez, maybe that's Bigfoot.
Well, I've got two stories actually. My brother, he's a deer hunter, and he was actually talking to me about a month ago, and he was sitting out in the woods. He's been hunting for years, so it's not like this is his first go around, you know.
Right.
And he's sitting there and waiting for that big buck to come across his crosshairs, right? And he's sitting there, and all of a sudden he hears this, like he was actually describing, the guttural growl behind him. He didn't see anything, but he told me, he said, I've never heard anything like that in my entire life. And this man has hunted 20 plus years. He's in the woods a lot, very familiar. So that right there just kind of made me feel like, this very well could be real.
Right.
Because I to be honest, I've been a skeptic for most of my life. But one thing I will say before I go on to my second story is, where I live, there is a huge cave system. Like, it's one of the biggest cave systems in the world. So if this thing wanted to stay hidden in my neck of the woods, it could easily do so.
Right. It
there
has
miles.
Yeah, it has escape routes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It has miles and miles of uncharted cave systems. There's no map. I'll just be up front. I'm from Kentucky. I don't mind people knowing that. And Probably by the sound of my voice, you could probably guess.
Yeah.
But I live close proximity of Mammoth Cave, and Mammoth Cave is every day they find more tunnels. They find more. It just keeps getting bigger. So could this thing hide? Absolutely. There is tons of places this thing could hide. And then the other story I have is actually my next door neighbor that's about 3 or 4 houses down. They are huge believers in cryptids and actually also with aliens and UFOs. And they actually go on Bigfoot hunts quite often because they've, according to them, now I've not seen any pictures or anything. That would be awesome to be able to maybe get some pictures from them, some of the evidence that they've collected, and that could potentially even make me further, have to kind of challenge my skepticism.
Right. Ooh, maybe it's not out of the realm to try to get them on the podcast. Who knows? Maybe we do an interview with them here coming up. That'd be kind of cool. You walk across that neighbor, you talk to them.
Yeah, they're familiar with podcasting. They kind of have their own thing, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind. But they are firm believers, and I believe they've collected evidence. So that would be something that I would like to see, because I could actually, see it firsthand. But like I said, I've been a skeptic for most of my life, but do I think that it's possible? Absolutely. Do I think that it's easy for it to stay hidden? Oh yeah, especially for where I live. And even me being, kind of skeptical about it, the evidence of the footprints, and like you said, the analytics of the footage of, where they were walking,
the famous footage there.
Right. And for it to be that tall, you can't, if you're, okay, let me just say it this way. I've seen basketball players that are like 7'9", 7'8", and I would imagine that if Bigfoot was this tall and it was a fake, that they would move similar to, these basketball players that are 7'9", 7'8",
right?
And that did not move like that. So that kind of makes me think that there's something to it, honestly.
Yeah, and to this day, nobody's been able to discredit that short video. Nobody's been able to prove it 100% fake, which adds to the validity of all of this. Now, I want to share my story here, and it's kind of close, I guess, to your first story there, hunting wise. Anyways, I grew up an avid outdoorsman, hunting, fishing, all that stuff, right? And I had to have been 12, 13 years old at the time. Me and my grandfather were going out turkey hunting, and we got our camo on. We just got into the woods, and we're starting to walk through, right, to get down into this little ravine that we knew where the turkey should be at, right? And I turn around because I hear something behind us walking, and I stop. I turn around, and I tried to grab my grandfather, but I was struck. Like, I was just frozen looking at this thing. Something stood up from the base of a tree, and no, it was not another hunter, right? We were the only ones on this property. Nobody else should be there. It was our own private leased property or whatever, right? Something stood up from the base of this tree. Big, hairy creature about 40 yards behind us, right where we just walked through. Stood up and walked up the hill to our left. And this is what creeps me out even more about all of this. A coyote was 20 yards behind this thing, following it up the hill. A freaking wild coyote in the middle of the woods, following this big, tall, hairy creature walking up 40 yards behind us. It just made it even creepier to me. I mean, I was I had to have been 12, 13 years old. And I told my grandfather, he's like, oh, well, no. You know, my grandfather was old, stuck in his ways kind of thing or whatever. But that is, I believe I saw Bigfoot. Nobody can tell me different. That is my experience with it. And growing up, that show came out. What was it, on Animal Planet? I want to say it is Bigfoot Hunters. You know, you ever watch that show? Probably not if you were you're skeptic.
Yeah, I've never watched it, but I want to say that I remember like a commercial or something about it.
They had one guy on there. I'm probably butchering this. I want to say his name was Gus or something short, right? Whatever. And he would do all these howls and these whoops and stuff like that. He was like their main Bigfoot caller. And I remember going to my buddy's house on the weekends, and he lived out kind of in the middle of nowhere, woods right in his backyard. And we would go out there and we would go hunting for friggin' Bigfoot. We would go out there and we would make all these calls and hope that we would hear something back. And we were scared shitless the one time we heard something, thought it was a rock getting thrown at us, and it was an acorn falling out of a tree, right? It wasn't really a rock getting thrown at us. But we got scared shitless countless times behind his house, thinking that we were gonna actually encounter a real Bigfoot. And it'd be nice if I could get him on the podcast too. We got a lot of stories of the woods behind his house, and I don't know if I've really shared this or not, but he was my buddy that got possessed in one of the houses we lived in. And we don't really keep in contact as much as we probably should anymore. You know, life happens. People kind of grow apart a little bit. But me and him have so many stories we could tell on this podcast, and try to strike up some conversation from the listeners here, and see if anybody else has encountered these same things. Like, we're going off topic here, but there's legend in his area where he grew up in, right, that the woods behind his house were haunted by a witch. And dude, we had, growing up, I mean, freaking 16-year-old me was going nuts, going over to my buddy's house every freaking weekend trying to capture this crap. Anywhoozin', Bigfoot, I say real. What do you say? You think he's real? I need a yes or a no now. You think he's real? In your heart, what do you think?
My heart?
Yep.
I'm gonna say yes, because I'll tell you one thing that kind of helped my belief a little bit is what you was talking about with the hair samples coming back
Right.
as inconclusive. You know, we're always discovering new species.
Oh yeah.
Of the animal kingdom. I mean, it's not just the oceans; it's the land as well.
Right.
I'm open to the idea of there being something out there that we haven't scientifically put in a book, that it's, currently just a myth or a legend. I'm open to that. But for them to actually have samples coming back as unknown primate, that kind of, I don't know, that could be real to me. And like I said, I was talking about the cave systems around here. It being so, able to blend into its surroundings, but also having a place to hide and live without humans being there. Absolutely. I think it's possible. But one last thing I will say is I do believe if we ever do, get more evidence, we're going to find out that this is an actual, primate. It's not going to be something supernatural. It's not going to be something
Right.
paranormal. I think it's going to actually belong to the animal kingdom in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, in the storytelling there, there's a lot of different theories on what people believe that Bigfoot actually is or isn't. And one of those is that he's a supernatural being. Actually, not too long ago here, they came out with a video game, and in the video game, you're Bigfoot, and you're traveling through these woods, and you're scaring campers, at their summer camp. And the way Bigfoot can travel is through portals. So I found that pretty interesting. Obviously, the developer of that game thought that Bigfoot, is part of that extraterrestrial, and it's like part of the lore of the video game that he came from somewhere else type thing, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Me personally, I think it's very possible that he's just Bigfoot is a non-evolved version of what we used to be. That's what I think. Still just out there living in the wild and never fully became what we are now as humans. I mean, it's been proved that we came from apes, right? That we developed from a form of apes, right? So we all kind of have that in us, why not have it the Bigfoot be my long lost great uncle? Who knows? I think that'd be pretty dang cool. I got an Uncle Bigfoot roaming around the woods out there.
Uncle Bigfoot.
Uncle Bigfoot. Anyways, if you guys have any stories about encounters with Bigfoot or anything like that out there, we'd love to hear them. You can send them in to us at hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com, or when we post the link to this episode on Facebook, you guys can find that post and comment down below it. Message us on Facebook. If you're listening on YouTube, comment down below on YouTube. We read all the comments, all that stuff, guys. We'd love to hear if you guys have any encounters with anything like this. Something kind of cool there. Until next time, this has been Haunted America.